So without further delay, I introduce to you Jessie R.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I brought a visual aid and a timer, so don't
All
worry.
right. There you go.
How's that?
Okay, good.
Okay. Much better?
Yeah.
I'm Jessie, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Jessie.
I'm glad to be here. And John's right. John, this is me. So I'm going to open my mouth and see what happens. And I'm going to tell you what it used to be like, what happened, and what it's like now. And along the course of what happened, I'm going to tell you about the steps, and I'm going to tell you about some people who changed me. I did promise myself that I would not make this too heavy. So, for those of you who are sitting in the room and know my story, you know there's a little more to it than I'm about to say. Let's just say that I was born into a very dysfunctional family, and I experienced what we might consider to be higher than normal amounts of abuse. And I barely survived. So, the reason that plays in is really pretty simple. Because a lot of people would say, oh, someone with your history, someone like you, probably can't have, right, a good life or can only expect so much. And in fact, my key message tonight is, this will work for anyone. And there is someone, maybe more than one someone, sitting in the back of this room, feeling like they're too dirty, they're too bad, they can't do it. Nobody knows what they've been through. You know, these people are so nice. You're the one I'm talking to tonight. Because you can. And it will work for everyone, no matter what. So keep that in mind. I do believe that alcoholism is a disease, and it's a disease I was born with. I'm born into a dysfunctional family system of alcoholism. Now, I'm going to share some things that might sound a little shocking to you, but to me they're just a huge relief. One of the ways that I know for a fact that I was born with the disease of alcoholism and that I am a sick person trying to get well, not a bad person trying to get good, is that I took my first drink at 8 years old. Didn't know what it was. I mean, I knew what it was. Smelled the cherry vodka, drank it. And I knew two things. I drank that vodka, I went and lay down on my bed, and I got the bed stints. And the two things I knew were, one, this didn't happen to good girls, so I was bad. And two, I needed to try to wait as long as possible before I did it again. My relationship with alcohol was about control. At the time I was 8 and I didn't even know it. I tried to wait 2 weeks, tried to wait a month, tried to be a good girl. I also know that I drank vanilla somewhere around that time, maybe when I was a little younger. No idea what was in it, I just knew it made me feel better. Now you might say, oh, that's a terrible story, but it's really not. Because I was born with the disease of alcoholism. I was born with the disease. My body processes alcohol differently. I'm not this dangerous, horrible person because I took a drink at 8 years old. I'm a sick person who had a disease. I lived in the disease. And for years, I never thought there was any hope for me. First time I drank in front of other people, I blacked out. I was 13 years old. And I blacked out and then I went to school on that Monday and she kind of didn't want to be my friend anymore. So I knew it again. This isn't happening to the girls. I gotta be bad. There's something fundamentally wrong with me. Which is absolutely not true. There is nothing wrong with me and there is nothing wrong with you if you're sitting there thinking there is. Then of course, I had all the history that I could tell you about, but I don't need to. If you've been through it, you know it. If you haven't been through it, no amount of explanation is going to make you understand it. And I continued to drink. And use and go to dangerous places and do dangerous things. And, you know, I don't know if you want to go to source or grow your hair. But again, that's not the most important thing. Where I fetched up was standing on a street corner in East Lansing at age 22, wearing kind of a slip sort of thing I bought at a vintage store. No shoes, no nothing else. Carrying a backpack, I think, down the woods in it. Could not remember my name, just standing there completely frozen. Watching people walk by me with these pitying expressions on their face, and I remember hating them and hating myself and believing there was absolutely no hope for me. Through a series of adventures and misadventures, after that, I had a couple of spiritual experiences, and I found myself walking back into Ellis Teco, trying to do my same old thing. Ran to get drunk, even though I had this burning spiritual experience. And I ran into somebody, a lady there, and she had a 1 8 kind of Al-Anon book open on her lap. And so, fully intended to be a friend. Hi, Alice. Great, I really so. And I looked at her and just said, oh my God, you too. And she said, yeah. And so I started going to Al-Anon in July of 1986. Backdoor, I don't count it as very time, I'll show what I did. During that time, though, I met somebody. I met a woman named Susan and I met her daughter named Sarah. And they kind of took me in. And I would spend weekends at their house. Lots of weekends. Sarah was 17 at that time. She'd been involved in Al-Anon. She thought to herself, maybe I'm an alcoholic. So I watched her go to AA meetings. Well, I go to Al-Anon meetings. I talked to her. She talked to me. One day, Saturday afternoon, January 17th, I think it was Saturday, I guess Sunday. January 17th, we were standing outside the American meeting room. And my favorite thing to do was go to people and say, he's an alcoholic. He's an alcoholic. That's awesome, right? So I tried that on Sarah, it didn't work so well. She got 12 questions out. So let's talk about these 12 questions. We're standing out. But my memory of it is that we were standing outside the door. And she's like, what about this? I said, oh, my mom does that. What about this? My mom does that. My mom, she said, no, I'm your mother. You. And I walked into my first AA meeting that day. I said, I'm Jessica, I'm an alcoholic. Sarah was there, Sarah's there. Continuously sober ever since. I have been, she has been. She took me to my first meeting. We still sit and eat together every week. Yeah. So what happened? What happened was I found people who loved me and accepted me and taught me about the disease of alcoholism and taught me about the 5 basics. And that's what I'm really going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the 5 basics and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the steps when and where I can. And as I do, since I think this is being recorded, I'm also going to try to honor as many people I know from AA as possible. This is my visual hit rock. This is my 24-hour day book from 1987. I have Ginny, I have Geneva, I have Mary, I have Alba, I have Hack. I have names. If they sorry, I have the phone numbers. Some people didn't even know who those people are. They're all old timers. Almost everyone of them are just named has died and died sober. And I'm grateful to have been a part of all of this. So, there I am, 22 years old. Go to my first AA meeting. Don't like it. I like it because I belong. But I don't like what I have to do. But I'm desperate. Remember what I told you about where I was. I was all the way down. I was absolutely desperate. I didn't know how to dress myself. I couldn't talk well. I couldn't do it. So I had to kind of do what you guys did. And I sat down in my room and I looked and I was like, oh, you guys are all so smart and so together and so good. How am I ever going to get like you? And they said, I do the 5 basics. Do you want to say something? They were read here earlier, but marry your knees in the morning and at night. Get a sponsor. Call them every day. For a meeting, every day. Read 2 pages out of the big book every day. Work the steps. Because I was so far out there, I couldn't trust my feelings or my thoughts in any way. I could only trust what I did. So if I had just kind of gone to AA and tried to think about the ideas and sort of make myself feel better, it would have never worked. I would have drank again. And if I drank, I would have died. And if I were the rest of it, I could tell you to kind of prove how bad that would have been. But like I said, you should hear that, you already know how bad it can be. So, I tried to learn how to do those the very best I could. I didn't like to pray. Getting it down on my knees at the beginning took me a long time to get down on my knees. But I still asked for help in the morning and at night. I read 2 pages. Went to a meeting every single day. I actually went to a meeting every day for the first year and a half. Sometimes 2. I was just thrilled. And there were both of us, but we went around together. And I would like to think about one of my very first sponsors. She was kind of a crossover sponsor. She was in Alabama also. Her name was Jackie. And I call her up and be miserable. Oh my God, this is happening, or I can't do this, or I have no money, or I have no shoes, or I have whatever, like big problems. No, I don't want to do it. And she'd say, well, did you pray today? No. Did you read? No. Did you do a meeting? Yeah. Okay, well, call me back. Call me back after you pray. Right. Talk to you then. So I did. And call me back. And that is what worked for me. Learning and learning the 5 bases every single day. That's my ability. And not paying too much attention to what I thought or what I thought. Or trying to figure it out on my own self. So, I'll cover a little bit about the first step. I do believe 100% in powerless over alcohol. My life is completely unmanageable, but I try to manage it. And I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me sanity. In the beginning of words, I came to believe that if I did what you told me to do, things would get better. Should I stop? Okay. So, if I did what you told me to do, things would get better. But I still thought I was going to be crazy. Right? It was going to be crazy forever. And then I got a sponsor named Diane. She taught me this. She said the second step, having this power greater than ourselves restores to sanity, is restoring us to the person we were meant to be before the disease took us up. That makes sense to me. Sure, I had a lot of self-hate, I had a lot of shame, I had all those things that I had to work through, but I had to think that I was a good person. And so, I started thinking about that, and I gave me hope. So what was I going to do about the third step then? Because I could show up, I could do stuff, but I really didn't want to do with that. I didn't want to do with that at all, because it really happened to me. I couldn't even think about church or God or anything else. The first thing I covered was a tree on Michigan State University campus, and the beautiful thing I've ever seen was yellow. And I stood there and I was a little glimmer. A little bit. It's a little bit bigger than me. And I'm probably mixing up the times because it's been a long time before. The second time that I got an idea that there might be a power bigger than myself that could care about me was one day. There was a treatment center called the Horizon Center. And I used to go to meetings there. And I was absolutely overwhelmed with horrible memories. And that's what would often happen to me. Before I found AA, I tried really hard to stay sober, and the flashbacks would come, and I remember it. And I remember the abuse, and I would see it, and I would feel it, and I would turn. This was fairly early in my sobriety, and I remember going to the Horizon Center. And all I could do was just spew it. I spewed it all on the table. Right? I mean, everything. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling this. I'm awful. I don't know what to do. And then I was in my friends and the rest of the time. And right after that meeting, a gentleman named Gary and a gentleman named Dave C, who I have passed on since, took me out to Don's window. We're going to have coffee. And Dave shared in poignant detail a very similar story to mine of taking beer out of the fridge that eased his pain from having been abused. And Harry shared some things about his past. And they said, you can do this. That was a wonderful third step for me. These two guys, they were okay, you know. I really needed, I looked as different from them as it could have possibly been. It didn't matter. That was the beginning of the third step. It's kind of hard to tell the third step about a time of the shoe story, so I'm going to tell it. Didn't bring the shoes, but they're still around. In this whole period of time, I just kept trying to eat stuff, kept being miserable, kept not knowing what was going on, just putting one foot in front of the other because I didn't want to die. And I couldn't really think, like, what could I do? I didn't have shoes. Didn't have any shoes, didn't have any money, didn't have anything. And I remember going to meetings, and I remember thinking, in the back of my mind, I was going to my mind and I thought, you know, there, kind of, I want a t-shirt. And I was walking home, and you gotta understand, dumpster diving is not out of my realm, right? So there on the sidewalk, in front of me, with a t-shirt. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I tore and ripped everything, you know, stuff. I was bad, hungry, so I wanted what I actually had. What I wanted was, hey, over in the back of my mind, I'm in a t-shirt that's not ripped. Lying in my bed, on the grass, with a t-shirt. I wasn't moving. You get up and wear it. Nah. A few days later, I thought, okay, come on, do this thing in my head. I said, I want a sweatshirt, getting cold, I want a sweatshirt. I was hanging out in a coffee shop. This girl walked in, her name with a sweatshirt I had in my ear, of hers. Here, and I started to think. I had a pair of those Kmart 298 bongs. I seemed like I remember it was getting cold, but I knew I needed shoes. So I said, fine, I need some shoes. I was walking over the meeting, and there in my path was a pair of size 6.5 Reeboks. I picked them up and wore them. I still have them. They sit on our shelf. I wore them, I spray painted them silver, I built sets with them, I did all the basic weird stuff that I like to do with things. But they still exist. Yeah. Now here's the funny thing. That really got me. But what got me even more, just like what got me even more was finding the woman reading an online book the day I attended to play the drum. What gets me even more are the little things that come after the big experiences, the moment by moment things. So I was, as you can imagine, having a lot of friends who were guys, right? Because you're not supposed to have any relationships in the first year, right? So I'm just friends. And I was mad at this friend for saying he done something. And so I just, you know, when you get home, I just don't want to. I was actually telling my friend about it. I told him the true story. I said, you know, I would say, when I get home, I want a white rose on my doorstep. You know, this is one story. And I lived in a house with other people. One of the people that I lived with was a guy who worked in Florida. I am sitting at my table, and he walks in with a white carnation and says, here. I stopped asking after that. What? I really didn't actually ask about something else. What I got, right, is what I needed. And right now the white rose is nice to remember with. A white carnation, a roommate, right? And a reminder, there was a higher power that was there for me and would meet me where I was. I was still scared. And I still couldn't put these together. It's still the same time I was probably spending some time in therapy in a month. They didn't clothes. They didn't show me how to dress myself. I couldn't. It felt so powerful. But I knew that if I just showed up, turned it over, did what you told me to do, it would get better. So I remember grabbing my knees in the morning and at night. I I had 2 sponsors that I was going to use. I would do sponsors every day, put my meeting every day. Read a big book, 2 pages every day, my meditation books, and work the steps. And I began formally working the steps. I've done a formal 3 steps several times with different people. But I think she's sort of probably the best story for the stuff. And I had a sponsor, her name was Geneva. God bless her. Name's still in here. Okay. There it is. Let's start the back and forth step. And this is another reason we know that alcoholism is a physical disease, not a moral failing, not something wrong with me that has to be fixed. Because I would start to drink, I would start to write, and I would taste vodka in the back of my throat. I could taste. I didn't want to drink. I didn't have any. I could write for 15 minutes. I'd get so overwhelmed, I'd taste this in the back of my throat. Pick up the phone, I'd call Geneva. I don't know what's going on. And she'd say, alcoholism is a disease. And then she'd say, honey, there are no new sins in the world. And I would call her and I'd tell her some of the worst abuses and all these things that happen. And she'd find, I'd pull up the Bible somewhere. I know she's on the phone. She's like, this is in the Bible. This is what happened here. So I'm like, okay. I wasn't much for the Bible. I'm just saying it was nice to know that this little white-haired old lady, nice-looking old lady who knew the Bible, didn't think I was a piece of crap. And she said, honey, there are no new sins in the world. So I wrote my 4 steps, I wrote my 4 steps, I wrote my 4 steps. Okay, I did this step, right? And then divide for ourselves and believe in being the exact nature of our promise. So that meant I got to take my 4 step and read it. There's this nice little white-haired old lady and there's a really cool subdivision in Lansing. And I had a car by drive my car, get up in the car, get to her house, and I read my 4 step. And it's sad and embarrassing, and some of it was fun at the time, but it wasn't something you would imagine sharing with this normal lady. So I got done reading it. I'm sitting on the couch and I'm waiting for her to kick me out, or actually worse than kick me out. I'm waiting for her to be totally shocked and then just try to kind of pretend like everything's okay, sort of turn purple, and be polite and then say, time for me to go, thanks. Because that's what people always did, tell them the truth, and they turn sort of purple underneath and try to pretend it's okay, but it's not. Can you guess what she did? She looked at me and she said, honey, there are no new sins in that room. Now can I make you a sandwich? That's salmon sandwich. So you start to get the idea, right? And now's a good point to remind you that my message is this will work for everyone, right? I can tell you all these stories. I can tell you shocking things. I can do all of these different things. But the real message is, I don't care who you are, where you've been, what you've done, how bad you think it is. Sitting here in this room, it will work for you if you just do those 5 things. And Lisa brought this up in a meeting today, and I think it's important to know, you don't have to want to. You just have to do it. Right? And I didn't want to. But I didn't want to die. And sometimes I think I've heard many people mention, the gift of desperation. At the time, not being able to dress myself, looking so bad, being the person in the room that each sponsor was talking about, said, kind of don't get here, right? So being that person, that was hard. But being that person, I was desperate enough to do what I was told to do. And it was my only shot. And another funny thing about Geneva was sometime early on there, we went to a funeral, and I was sitting in this funeral home, and I'm looking at these people, I'm like, oh, it's doing bad, she can't tell us doing bad. She goes, hey, you see that lady up there? See that? She goes, she took an axe to her kitchen cupboards. Just sitting over there. And she was telling me all this stuff that all these people had come that I thought were so great. And again, the message was, and I bought, I don't know how to say it. I guess I earned that connection with Jennifer by calling her every day, even when I didn't want to. Right? I earned that. It didn't come naturally. So, for purposes of time, I'll condense my 6 and 7. Although I think 6 and 7 are like the very heart of the program, right? They're kind of the most important thing we keep doing. But I remember one of my sponsors and I said, how do you work the 6 and 7 step? Right? The 6 steps was big in the big book. Right? I'm a 12 girl, I love 12 book. And I went to her and I said, how do you work the 6 and 7 step? And she said, honey, you pray really hard for a really long time. I'm still praying really hard. And it's been really long. I got really stuck on the 8th step. You know, I call it the forgiveness step. So I get to the 8th step. And I wouldn't know what was going on at this, didn't know what was. These people that hurt me, do they go on this? No, you know, what happens? What do they do? Get stuck, go back. Get stuck, go back. Now I am kind of absurdly proud to tell you that I have formally worked 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 7 times in my sobriety. The most recent was just a couple years ago. Some of that was because I kept getting stuck on the 8th step. So you didn't know, I just kept like struggling with it. And still I learned about a thing called indirect amends. So even though it wasn't safe for me to have contact with my family or the other people, what I could do was do for other people what I would have done for them. And somehow that opened up the door. Because I still have to own myself. I've got to own where I was. And I also don't have to be a victim anymore. Both are true. I don't have to pretend it didn't happen. Or play the pretty games. But I also need to own myself if I want to stay sober. So I learned that. I started visiting people in nursing homes. In fact, I visited a gentleman named Bill Pelton for years. And then Alba, who couldn't be here tonight because she's sick, Alba and I visited Jean and Pete for a long time and just did for other people what I would have done for my family. So let's think about step 10. Because 10, 11, and 12 are maintenance steps. And are really a huge part of my daily life. Continue to take personal inventory when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. I think of that when I tell you that I wrote the steps many times, or that when I'm in trouble, the first thing I do is go down the list. That I pray every day. Right? And I contact with my sponsor. I've been in my community meetings, because I don't go to meeting every day anymore. Okay? Step 1. I let them out. The point here, though, is you always got to do it. So I'm married to a wonderful man named Scott, who has been sober 33 years. Yes, 30 years. And so you remember. Yeah, you remember. So, and speaking of that, this is where I kind of tell you a little bit of a 10-step story, right? So, you gotta kind of continue, and I go through phases in my story, right? I'm doing really well, or I'm really emotional, or I'm doing really well, or I'm really emotional. I'm sober. I'm doing what I need to do. But on these times when I was feeling really emotional, I remember vividly, I was washing dishes, and I think we were remodeling at the time. So if you're married on the house, and then support yourself, you know. Well, and I didn't do a ton of it, you have to do all of it, right? I'm hoping. So when you wash dishes, and I really checked it out. And we had kind of talked about, like, well, sometimes we can help each other, right? We really need to slow down. or we talk about the acceptance pamphlet, or we talk about all these things, which is a wonderful thing about being married to another recovering alcoholic who cares about their program. We talk about this. Gosh, it's just been really mad. Like I said, he was about 5 years sober when we met, and I was about 8 years sober. I'm just saying. So watching this, I'm really upset. He says, honey, maybe the acceptance pamphlet. Oh, she told me about the acceptance. I was looking at acceptance before you even started to think about getting I did actually stop myself. I did actually catch that. But I think it's, and I think about that moment frequently, because it's a perfect 10-step story. Right? And it even wasn't that I said sorry, right? It's that I stopped doing that. And I guess to make the elegance even more perfect, I continued doing the dishes. So what about step 11? Sacred prayer meditation to improve our conscious contact with God to use certain right, when we can knowledge of His will and how to carry that out. I'm not trying to show off up here, because what I'm trying to say to you is, one of the ways that I had to work the 11th step, and the only way I could change my thinking, was to memorize the steps, and then I started to go sideways, say the step to myself. Because I never realized before I got sober that I could choose my thoughts. I couldn't control what came in, but I could choose something else, and the first thing that I had to learn to choose was the steps. So I say them to myself, whether I was over them or the ones. And sometimes, to this day, that's what I do. In fact, I recently retired, and I wasn't that thrilled about how my job ended, and I went on a trip with my friend and I couldn't sleep. I was like, get up, I went to meetings there, and even went to meetings on my phone. I could not sleep. And the only thing that put me to sleep that weekend was reciting the promises to myself. And I was able to sleep one night out of that, because that's what I did. So I think of that as the 11th step, right? It doesn't have to be something amazing. And it also is where I go back to those 5. Actually doing 5 basics is the 3rd step. That is doing it in your own life. That is improving your conscious contact. You don't have to feel a bunch of stuff. I just try to do it. And when Jen says, like, that I tell her it's not me, it really truly is not me when I give her something. It's everything that's been given to me by you people. Okay, so I've had the privilege of being in all kinds of 12-step situations. I edited the newsletter for a while. I was part of Central AA when the SmackDown trip was organized, all of that. Now, the only reason I mention all that is I think you do need to give back. There are lots of ways to serve other than sponsoring. I was a crappy sponsor for a long time. I was busy, I taught high school, I was proud of my profession, right? I didn't have a lot to give. But I could be on committees, I could write newsletter articles, I could do things like that. You do whatever you can do. I could push in chairs, I could empty ashtrays, I could move smoke, right? That's also a step is just put it in service. So what is it like now? Look around you. Look at me, I was wrong, right? I walk in and you're scared of me. Don't be scared of me. And I was blessed to have a 25-year career teaching high school. Another 7 years at the state. Not because I was so great, right? Because I continued to do these things and go where I think my higher power wanted me. To show up, do the best I can to listen, follow the guidance, and be of service. I mentioned my husband. We live on 25 acres on the river. I'm working to source the native habitat with native plants out in the country. I recently, through the course of the pandemic, reconnected again with Sarah and some other people. So I have a meeting with the person that took me to my first meeting. There's a connection. And then as a result of the Zoom, I have been all over the world to meetings. My current sponsor is a woman who is 45 years sober, She lives in Dallas with her husband, who's sober, 1 year less than she has. And we work the steps for me, and she definitely calls me when I don't. What Jen said, I do to her, she does to me. I might even, and Stacey was mentioning earlier today, I might open my mouth and she's looking at my face and she'll hold on here. So, and you know, I would never find her if it wasn't for Zoom. I don't like everything she does. She does hurt my feelings, right? I don't agree with her on everything. But I need someone to be my sponsor. So I have a sponsor. I live with my husband. We're really great friends. I retired. I want to do myself next. Maybe right. God still has a plan for me. And a plan for you. You know, that person I was talking about at the very beginning of the meeting, whoever you are, and I know you're in this room. You are sitting there thinking you are too dirty, too evil, too bad. You've done too much shit. You've had too much shit done to you. You're thinking that your heart is black and you're not capable. God has a plan for you. And it's not that hard. I promise. Thank you.